Brodes Media.
It was a good weekend. Can't be mad taking 2 out of 3. That's the name of the game, fellas. Would I have loved to see a sweep? Of course I would have loved to see a sweep. It's okay, though. First series. First time through the rotation. Getting some real action under your belt. Offense went quiet this afternoon. Sucks. You had plenty of opportunities. Bryson Stott a few early. Marchand grounding out into a double play. Marchand in the 9th. First pitch swinging. Bomer grounding out into a double play in the 7th. So they had plenty of at-bats where they could have absolutely done some serious damage. They just weren't efficient. They just didn't get the timely hits, whereas they sure did game 1 on Thursday. Alec Bohm in extras. Kyle and Bryce in the middle of the action to take a 2-1 lead. So, unfortunately, on Sunday, just wasn't their day. Nola's allowed a couple of bombs. We'll get into Aaron Nola. I just got back from the studio, and I was hosting Final Out, and then I had a couple-hour show until 7 o'clock I was on, and I was getting into some heated debates with people who hate Aaron Nola with a burning passion, saying he sucks. It's year 10 of this guy. If you're still having conflicts internally on who Aaron Nola is and what he should be, that sounds like a personal problem. This guy has been in the league for 10 years now. 10 years! He's got a 3.70 ERA. Over 10 years! He allows home runs. And a lot of them. But if you allow a lot of home runs and over 10 years you have a 3.70 ERA, you're a damn good pitcher. You have flaws. You're not perfect. You're not Zach Wheeler. Let's stop acting like this guy's a stiff, though, because Josh Bell took him deep. Because Nathaniel Lowe had a 2-run blast a couple innings after. Yeah, he allows a lot of homers. He also is filthy on a lot of days, too. Like, fucking filthy. Not against the Mets, excuse me. But a few years before that, nope, the year before that, not a few years. The few years before that, he hit a wall in the World Series, yes. Once he got to the World Series, his body wasn't used to pitching in November. It was his first time getting a real crack at it, and he broke down after eating 200 innings. Ranger Suarez can't even get through spring training without hitting a wall. This guy can't even eat 100 innings. Yet I'm supposed to get angry at Aaron Nola because 2 years ago, something happened in the playoffs. I guess that was 3 years ago now, where once he got to the NLCS and once he got to the World Series, he hit a wall. Same with Zach Wheeler, by the way, who we all agree is phenomenal and one of the best to ever do it and such an elite pitcher in today's age. He ended up hitting a wall too. Justin Verlander, in that same World Series run, got his first World Series win ever as a starter. Yeah, the same guy that is a no-brainer lock to make the Hall of Fame got his first ever win in a World Series. Yet I'm supposed to diminish Aaron Nola's ability because of his body never, ever experiencing that before and then having to deal with it, realizing, wow, that's a lot of wear and tear on the body in one season. You got to learn what that's like before you're able to actually execute. And then the following season, the 23 campaign, where unfortunately they did lose to the Arizona Diamondbacks, my man in 4 starts had a 2.3 ERA. 2.35, I believe, off the top of my head, ERA. 2.35 ERA in the postseason over 4 starts. I'm supposed to be mad at that? I mean, people act like this guy's a stiff. You can be aggravated. You can be frustrated with Aaron Nola. These debates that are already happening after week 1 is just pathetic, in my personal opinion. It's been 10 years of Aaron Nola. I mean, come on. Get your head out of your ass and realize that you should already know what he is. He's a damn good pitcher, and right now he's slotted in as your 3. Hey, I hate to break it to you. Everybody and their mother in Major League Baseball would sign up for Aaron Nola as their number 3, with Luzardo slotted in at 2. After that 11 strikeout performance and he settled in after allowing the homer. By the way, Zach Wheeler allowed a homer to this same Nationals lineup. Luzardo allowed a homer to this same Nationals lineup. And then, yes, Aaron Nola allowed 2. But he's also going to give you a night where he shoves for 7 and allows 0 earned runs. I don't know. I think it's criminal how aggressive it is with him. Someone brought up that it's almost like Jalen Hurts. It's just everything is so picked apart to the nth degree that there's really no way for this guy to win or this guy to survive. There was a Phillies fan who called in who said he legitimately hates him. Big Phillies fan, diehard Phillies fan, loves the Phillies. He legitimately hates to his core Aaron Nola. Hates him. And I'm like, whoa, dude, that sounds like a serious psychological issue. Again, you may have questions about Aaron Nola. You may talk about sometimes when it rains, it pours with Aaron Nola out there and he struggles to stop the bleeding sometimes. But if you're getting to the point where you see his face and you actually start biting your fingers as they roll into a fist because you can't stop your body from shaking because you despise the human that bad, whoa, you're weird. I mean, you're just a weird sicko. But anyway, I don't want to make this too much about Nola, but I do think that is the biggest takeaway of the weekend. Because outside of that, you saw Kyle Schwarber hit a nuke on Saturday that blew the game wide open. You saw Brandon Marsh respond very well to all the criticism on Saturday. Same with Stott. The problem is Stott on Sunday had another offer. While Brandon Marsh actually had 2 walks and a single, and Rob Thompson rewarded his greatness on Saturday with plugging him back in on Sunday and sat Kepler so Rojas can get into the action. It was supposed to be Brandon Marsh sitting down so Rojas could get some love, but instead he rewarded him and said, you get another chance to go out there and play. And to Brandon Marsh's credit, he was strong. The problem is, I thought at one point last season, Brandon Marsh looked phenomenal and looked like a guy who could hit lefties and looked like an everyday player. And then eventually reality settled in and he just wasn't that great. So is this for real? Is this serious? Is this actually Brandon Marsh long-term? Or is this a common trend where he starts off the season looking really good and then at some point, whether it's just, hey, he's not as good as he's starting, or people figure something out about him, or it's just the natural flow of this whole thing, I don't know. But I need to see significantly more from Marsh, but it's a good start for him. Him and Stott, I thought on Saturday, remarkable. They both answered the bell insanely from what transpired on opening day. It's just really about consistency at this point. Same applies with Bohm. I saw a couple at-bats in the final game where they lost 5-1 that reminded me of the same Alec Bohm that got benched in the NLDS against the Mets, right? Very lackadaisical approach at the plate, very ridiculous, brutal, disgusting, sloppy little dinky hit in the infield and not really going to the plate with the true plan and just being, hey, I'm going to just swing early and I'm going to flub one to the left side of the infield in a very high-pressured situation. Yo, dude, how many pitches did you see in this game? 5? 6 pitches? What are we doing? Where's the approach? Where's the urgency to put together strong at-bats? Now, to his credit, he probably could have had a home run if it wasn't for being unlucky, I guess, right? Because one of his first at-bats on Sunday, the ball carried all the way out there, and I thought it had a chance to go. It was good exit velocity. It was a good swing. It was a good rope, and he definitely put a lot behind it. It just didn't go over the wall. So he did have a strong at-bat, and if that one carried just a tad bit longer, then maybe we look at this performance as a totally different one. But the truth is, it didn't go over the wall, and the ground out into the double play happened in the 7th inning, and then you got guys like Marchand almost following up what Bohm did. So is that Kevin Long allowing guys like Bohm and Marchand to do this? And if that's the case, isn't that a problem considering that's what needs to change? Now, they were down 5-0 in the ninth when Marchand got swing happy and got after it very early in the count. So I don't know how much of a chance they truly had to win that game anyway. It was desperation mode and you were looking for some version of a miracle. But with this type of firepower, knowing Marchand is batting at the bottom of the lineup, and then you got your top dogs right at the top following him afterwards, who knows, right? Kyle, Bryce, Boom. These are some powerful names that with the blink of an eye could send one to a totally different planet. So I can't rule anything out. Who allowed for that to happen? Guys like Marchand should never have the freedom to have that piss poor of an at-bat in the ninth inning where you can try and grab some sort of momentum to see if you can steal a victory and get a sweep. You know what I mean? So that goes back to coaching, to lack of discipline from the staff, probably. And if not, and this wasn't part of their game plan as a hitting coach, as Kevin Long likes to look at it, then there's a problem that there's not that communication happening prior to such results. And the only reason why that's important now is because it was a very common theme to what we saw in the playoffs, which to me is a lack of an approach by Kevin Long. You just keep running it back with that. Well, that's a problem. Alec Boehm got benched for that. So let's get to the Trea stuff. Here's where I'm worried about Trea. Same thing that applies to Ranger Suarez. The back. He's got some back stiffness, some back tightness, and, you know, they're not saying it's anything crazy. Hopefully he's back in the next couple of days. Do back problems go away, though? He said he was dealing with some of this in spring, and then he realized it was getting tight throughout, you know, the first time he was getting in the box, the regular season, opening day. Well, will that stop? And knowing there's so much pressure on Trea Turner as it is, he probably needs to be at 100% to maximize Trea Turner the best way we can to try and get what we need out of Trea. What we need out of Trea is an excellent version of Trea. Can he do that at 75% with the pressure? With the noise, with all the crosshairs on him to be a stud, the focus, all the energy, all the binoculars, it's glued right on Trea Turner's face to be a stud this year. And now he's already working behind the 8 ball because he's not physically at 100%. Does he have the luxury of being able to work through that physical pain and the mental side of this fan base to get to a good version of Trea? I don't know.